Ozzy Osbourne has lots of great songs, but there are a few songs that people don't really talk about that much, and that's what this video is about. These are 10 underrated songs by Ozzy Osbourne.
This video was requested by a channel member, so if you're interested in becoming a member, you can click that join button. I only have one tier, and you can request video topics as long as it is within the realm of this channel. So with that being said, let me jump right into this list. It's going to be in chronological order. It's not ranked or anything, so let me get into it. What I have is Revelation Mother Earth from Blizzard of Oz. It's a great song because the first thing you hear is the classical music playing of Randy Rhoads. It's the softer song, but Ozzy's vocals give it more of a rock sound, and Randy's playing makes it sound more like classical music. In the second part of the song, they bring in more electric guitars, and they have these gothic sounding bells. It really adds another layer of sound. Then around the 3-minute mark, it gets really metal with some awesome guitar riffs. And then, when you least expect it, out of nowhere, they bring in this piano, and you know it's going to lead to something. And it goes into something you wouldn't expect because at first they repeat these classic guitar riffs that you've heard before. But then they play these riffs that are reminiscent of classic Black Sabbath. But it's not yet over because then comes the guitar solo by Randy Rhoads. And this might be one of his best guitar solos from any of the Ozzy. And for that reason, it's a great song because it's like classical music on steroids. The next one I have is S.A.T.O from Diary of a Madman. This one features Lee Kerslake on drums, and he unfortunately passed away. This one kind of reminds me of those later day Black Sabbath albums like Never Say Die or Technical Ecstasy. It's that type of sound. This is some straightforward metal. There are lots of riffs. This one has an incredible guitar solo by Randy Rhoads. On this solo, it's more of a heavy metal type of solo as opposed to the last song, which was more classical music. And let me also mention the bass playing of Bob Daisley. You can hear it as well throughout the song. There are some different guitar effects used in the last half of the song as well. And I believe it's some type of phase shifter or something like that. The next song I have is Spiders from Bark at the Moon. I may have mentioned this in other videos. It's just because I am always talking about this song. I've always liked the song. It's because there were two versions of Bark at the Moon when it came out back in 1983. One was the European version and then the American version. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Spiders was only on the European version. So it's almost like a song that's like a B-side, but I think it's the best track on the album. It's one of those songs, it's always been one of my favorites. It's a dark and creepy type of song. This is the song that you want to add to your Halloween playlist. I like the guitar sound because they do these deep string bends. It sounds pretty cool. This also has Jake Ely on guitar. The last part of the song has these creepy organ sounds, and it makes it sound like this classic rock song from the 70s.
Just a little note, I want to say this because something I found out after I recorded this video. Basically, Jake E. Lee was shot multiple times in Las Vegas. He was walking his dog. It was an unknown shooter. He's in the hospital and expected to recover, so that's good. But I don't know who this person is who shot him, but it's some pretty sad news. So I just wanted to say that. So let me get back to this.
The next song I have is Lightning Strikes from The Ultimate Sin. This is one of those divisive albums because they kind of changed their sound to fit the heavy metal of that time. It was a little bit more towards that glam metal sound, but the songwriting is really solid on this album. I think the songs are great, but this song in particular has this really great guitar riff, and that's why I've always liked it. Also a catchy song. The type of song that has that chorus you could sing along to. And the album has Jake Ely on guitar and Phil Soussan on bass. And what's cool is that they toured for this album and Metallica opened for them. And Metallica had just released a Master of Puppets. So if I had a time machine, I would go back in time and see this concert because I think it would be one of the best concerts ever. So let me know in the comments, if you had a time machine, where would you go and what concert would you see? But let's get back to the next one I have is Fire in the Sky from No Rest from the Wicked. And this is the first album with Zakk Wylde on guitar. This is one of those Ozzy Osbourne ballads. And I'm usually not a big fan of his ballads, but I make an exception with a song because this one has some really great riffs and some awesome vocals by Ozzy. This also has Randy Castillo on drums, and he passed away in 2002. Bob Daisley is back on guitar in this album. And the best part is the 4-minute mark when the song takes this darker turn and the guitar riffs are more reminiscent of a style of music played from like the first 2 albums with Randy Rhoads. Then Zakk Wylde rips into this blazing guitar solo. Then after that, they go into this almost trippy or psychedelic atmospheric type of section. I have Hellraiser from No More Tears. This was written with Lemmy from Motorhead, and I know Lemmy co-wrote a few songs on this particular album. And this song appears on a Motorhead album that came out in 1992. It's a catchy song. You can sing along to it. It has Bob Daisley on bass. And about halfway through the song, they play these awesome guitar riffs. And they also do some type of backmasking you can hear in the background. So if you're listening with headphones, it's something good you should kind of like look out for. I think it really adds to the song. And Zakk Wylde really lets loose on the guitar solo. The next song I have is Thunder Underground from Osmosis. I chose this song because it is possibly one of the heaviest guitar riffs that you will hear on any Ozzy Osbourne song. He has almost a completely new lineup on this album. Zakk Wylde is back on guitar again, but someone comes back from Ozzy's past. And you're not going to know who it is. Actually, you are going to know because I'm going to tell you, but someone you wouldn't expect. It is Geezer Butler. He's back, and he plays bass on this. And he has another drummer, Dean Castronovo. I like the harmonics that Zakk Wylde plays during the song. And I think they're going for a groove metal sound or almost even industrial, as it was the middle of the 90s. So that's something you would expect. I have Junkie from Down to Earth. So it's a pretty good album. And this one has Robert Trujillo on bass guitar. This was right before he joined Metallica. This one also has a kind of a groove metal type of sound. And Zakk Wylde is on guitar, and his playing is pretty good on this album. And we have a new drummer, somebody who is from a very popular alternative rock band from the late 80s. And it is Mike Bordin. And if you didn't know, he was the drummer of Faith No More. This has some of the best lyrics, and you will find on a later day Ozzy Osbourne song. It's about drug addiction. The guitar solo is very unique. I think Zakk was trying for something different. It almost sounds like a Rage Against the Machine, Tom Morello type of thing. It's the early 2000s. It's kind of leaning towards nu metal, but I really like what Zakk is doing on the guitar. Next I have The Almighty Dollar from Black Rain. So this one's very different. It has this funky, distorted bass guitar. This one has Rob Nicholson on bass guitar. Lyrics are also awesome. Something he would have written back in the 80s is about money and greed. Ozzy does these really good vocals. He sounds kind of angry on the song. And then there's a breakdown, and they really kill it with these awesome guitar riffs that have weird and psychedelic sounds as well. Then at the 4.5 minute, something going to the sequence, and it's slow, it's trippy, and you don't know what's going to happen next. Then the next part is really weird. It's like this dream sequence with some piano. I have one more song, and that is Soul Sucker from the album Scream. This is another kind of nu metal sounding song. It definitely sounds like a modern metal, but I really like it. The type of song you can just bang your guitarist here, and it is Gus G on guitars. Pretty cool. It has a distorted voice in the chorus. The riffs are very heavy and pumping. 2.5 minute mark, the song takes a turn, and they start to play some classic heavy metal style riffs. So the song has the best of both worlds. It has that modern Ozzy sound and some of his classic sound. Gus G lets loose on the guitar solo, and he has more of a shredder style. So that's what's cool about Ozzy. He has these different guitar players, and each of them have his own style. So each of Ozzy's albums, they almost have their own personality. That is all. Let me know some of your most underrated songs by Ozzy Osbourne in the comments. Check out this video of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne songs right here. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.